All right. Well, we have much more with the weather ahead to talk about.
We do. And in fact, Punxsutawney Phil came out and didn't see his shadow yesterday, which means an early end to winter. That's what they say, right? So we've got a little bit of what we call the weather could be verse here. I'm going to very, very cleverly and swiftly retrieve my clicker, which I left sitting on the weather counter. So here you go. Yeah. If you thought the groundhog would see his shadow, then you must be some sort of dunce. Without any sun, it's hard to make one. I haven't seen mine in 3 months. Yeah, it's called the permacloud, right? Okay, so yeah, this is probably a good time to talk about Groundhog Day because a lot of people are like, oh, where'd that come from? Well, over in Europe, they celebrated a religious festival actually called Candlemas. Candlemas was halfway between the solstice and the equinox. So it's called a cross-quarter day, and they celebrated Candlemas. It was actually a religious feast. It was about the presentation of Jesus in the temple, and that's kind of how it got started. But in Europe, they would use this to make predictions about the coming year's crops, okay? And they had a badger over in Europe, they said could predict the weather by either seeing his shadow or not. When the German settlers came to the United States in the 1800s, a lot of them in Pennsylvania Dutch country in Pennsylvania, they started the tradition here, except they chose a groundhog because it didn't bite them like a badger would, right? A little friendlier groundhog. And so the legend was the same. Now, does it have anything to do with the weather? No, not a thing. Punxsutawney Phil, who is the official groundhog, mostly based on marketing, did not see his shadow yesterday, which supposedly means an early end to winter. Now, here's the kicker. If he'd seen his shadow, it means 6 more weeks of winter. But if you look at the calendar, winter ends on March 19th, the vernal equinox, and that's 6.5 weeks. So it's still going to be a short winter either way. So there you go. Total bunkum. But, you know, what are you going to say? That's Punxsutawney Phil, and I'm glad you appreciate all the groundhog history. We have ground fog instead of groundhog over South Bend right now. Visibility down to about 3 miles. You can see it's 29 degrees here. Looking at Elkhart, the streets are kind of slick this morning because of that fog and the freezing conditions. So watch out for ice fog, as we call it, when it freezes on the roadway. Over in Michigan City, we thought we were going to see a spectacular sunrise, but then these clouds came in. Remember that we're looking east here. So these clouds are actually coming from east to west, not what we're normally used to, west to east. Temperatures are freezing, 28 degrees there. Pothole season. Water freezes at night, it expands, it blows out the asphalt, then it melts, it contracts, and they fall in. So, and then your car falls in. But in St. Joe, Michigan this morning, 29 degrees. We have a silhouette of Muhammad Ali waiting anxiously for the sunrise and probably won't see it behind the clouds and fog. Here's what I'm talking about. These clouds are moving generally east to west, not the other way around. Now, in some of these areas, we're also seeing fog, which is not picked up by satellites so well. So that's a different issue. But the clouds themselves, these low clouds, are moving from east to west, coming in our direction. From the big picture, you can see that we're protected by high pressure circulating over the Great Lakes. And so this big storm system is actually going to get way down to the south and miss us entirely. So we don't have to worry about that. Temperatures right now, as I mentioned, generally below freezing across Michiana. So do be careful if you're out driving this morning. The roads could be a little slick in places, and you can see the visibility is a problem in some places, though we don't see any dense fog yet where visibility would be reduced to less than a mile. 16 Future Track will show you that as we go through the afternoon, our skies will clear. We'll see some sunshine today, and we'll top out around 41 to 43 degrees in most places by 8 o'clock tonight, falling back into the 30s. And we will take a look at your complete 10-day forecast right after a short timeout.
Hey, you. Yeah, the one who's been ignoring their HVAC system again this year? Don't spend another season hoping your furnace works. Be sure with help from the team at Legacy. An annual tune-up keeps your furnace running safely and efficiently when you need it most. Visit LegacyHeatingandAirInc.com for online scheduling and special offers and discounts. While you're there, sign up for an annual maintenance plan starting at just $13 a month. Legacy Heating and Air, a Cook family business.
A Cook family business.
Hey, there's the 10-day forecast, and what's unusual about that is you see the sun icon on at least, 7 or 8 of the 10 days. In fact, really all 10, at least partially. So the permacloud will break here for a little bit, and our temperatures will continue to rise as we get into the middle portion of the week. However, you do notice that we will dip below freezing many of those nights, and that means it's the perfect freeze-thaw cycle to create your favorite and mine, potholes.
Oh,
right.
my
So
goodness.
do be careful if you're driving.